How high or low does your favorite NFL team rank entering week 9? Welcome, football fans, my jabronis. It's Mitch here to give you my updated power rankings for every NFL team, ranking every team from the worst to the best. These are the absolute best power rankings on the internet. The most honest, the most raw, the most authentic opinions on every NFL team. If that sounds good, Gronk, Spike, the like, and don't forget, don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel, man. Let's rank every NFL team from number 32 to number 1. Let me know in the comments your opinion on my rankings. Let's go. Beginning with the worst team in the NFL. At number 32, they're back. That's right. The Tennessee Titans are at number 32. The Titans are just an embarrassment. What can I really say positively about the Tennessee Titans? Right now, they're looking to trade anybody with any sort of value. They're going to have no value left. They have an incompetent replacement at head coach in Mike McCoy, who keeps punting the football when he's playing the Indianapolis Colts, literally the best offense in points per drive of the century. Mike, you have the worst team in football. You might want to go for it against the Colts. You're going to need some points to win the game. But I don't even know if Tennessee cares about winning the game, is the problem. Cam Ward has nobody to trust, and no receivers really worth a damn. Their best receiver right now is a late-round rookie named DK. And it's not DK Metcalf. Okay? Defensively, L'Jarius Sneed is completely out to lunch. Jeffrey Simmons doesn't even really want to play anymore. They just traded Roger McCreary to the Rams. I feel bad for Tony Pollard. Trade him. Calvin Ridley's injured. Does he even want to play? Maybe he's going to go back to gambling. Try to play in the NBA. Just saying. But at number 32, the Titans are just terrible. They fire Mike Vrabel for Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan's a disaster. They have the first pick, and it equates to no improvement. They bring in all these free agents. It equates to no improvement. This team is just a terribly run franchise. So at number 32, Tennessee. At number 31, the second worst team in football. It is the New York Jets, of course. Now, the New York Jets finally, and I mean finally, got their first victory against the Cincinnati Bengals. Did they truly deserve to win that game? Honestly, it's one of those games where a team this bad, the New York Jets, had to play a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, where they had to hand the game to them on a silver platter. They had to play a defense that was that bad in order to win a game. I don't know if the Jets are going to win another game all year. It was a unique situation against an elderly quarterback and a just abysmal defense with a coach that's hanging on for dear life in Zach Taylor. Aaron Glenn buys himself some time and appreciation from his hugging pal, the owner of the Jets. Breece Hall, running, throwing, receiving, doing it all. Congratulations, Jets. You won a game. What do you want? A gold star? A cookie? At least you won one damn game. But you're probably not going to win anymore. You guys really stink. You have one of the biggest jabronis walking on your sidelines. And you don't have a quarterback. Still. At number 31, the Jets. At number 30, the New Orleans Saints. I moved the Saints back down to this bottom tier. It's pretty clear that Spencer Rattler was rattled. He played terribly against Chicago, and he started off that game against the Bucs terribly as well. It's time for Tyler Shuck. And from what I saw with Tyler Shuck in that game against Tampa Bay, I thought he looked pretty decent. I thought he showcased a little bit of his mobility, arm strength, accuracy, ability to play inside and outside the pocket. So I'm intrigued to see what Tyler Shuck brings. Now, the problem is, did you maybe start him a little bit too late, just in terms of finding out what he can truly be? Because it sounds like the Saints are going to end up trading multiple pieces on their offense. They could trade Chris Olave, hopefully to the Patriots. They could trade Rashid Shaheed, their speed demon. Of course, Keandre Miller's already out. Eric McCoy's already out. And those losses certainly showed up against the Bucs. But I thought their defense played admirably against Tampa Bay. You know, they held strong at home, and really they only lost that game because of the turnovers and the terrible offense of the Saints. And they had a really tough matchup going against a Tampa Bay team that is really tough. Maybe that's Spencer Rattler calling me right now. Bro, stop calling me just because I'm ripping you on my power rankings. Stop calling me, bro. Throw my phone over there. I don't want to hear from you, Rattler. I don't want to hear from you either, Jamari. Your team stinks. They don't deserve to be any higher than at number 30. At number 29, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are at 29. If this league wasn't so damn embarrassing in the bottom three teams, the Raiders are one of the worst 29s I have ever ranked in my life. I don't know what the Raiders do well at all. They have a couple wins. Ashton Genty has nowhere to run. Their offensive line is abysmal, can't block a soul. Geno Smith is throwing more picks than really it feels like touchdowns. I think that's probably accurate. I'm not 100% sure, but it feels that way. Jacoby Myers is about to get traded. Brock Bowers might be back, but he's not going to be able to save this thing. Pete Carroll's still running a defense from 2012. And they have no secondary to speak of. The Raiders are in worse shape than they've been in a few years. And that is actually speaking like, I don't even know what to say. That is insane. I mean, they had Antonio Pierce. They had the Josh McDaniels fiasco. They might be worse than that. They're that bad, guys. They are really, really, really bad. Like, they can't block. They can't play defense. Why does Max Crosby want to remain a Raider? Trade him. Like, what are we doing? This is embarrassing, man. The Raiders are at 29. At number 28, the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins finally won a game. The Miami Dolphins. With the upset of the week, Dirk Kant put in the BLV vs. Consensus Discord chat. We're back, baby. 7 seed is back on. Now, he's an absolute delusional individual, but the Miami Dolphins did win, and they did smash Ultras Falcons. They did smash Wave Gods Falcons. They did annihilate Claire's Falcons. Sorry, Claire. No sorry to Ultra. No condolences to Wave God. Sorry, Claire. Okay? But Miami, I mean, honestly, like, what do I have to say here? Like, honestly, what I have to say is Atlanta is just that embarrassing that you lost to this team. This team, with their head coach wearing capris, this team with a quarterback who's legally blind, he's admitted he can't see, an offensive line with Cole Strange on it, They have one receiver. Their defense is ass, and somehow they made it look like the 1973 Miami defense. Maybe a little bit of sprinkle of 72 in there too. Like, damn, bro. Atlanta is absolute. We'll get to them. I have nothing to say about Miami, honestly. That was a shocking result. We still know what they are. Tua is still going to turn the ball over. The defense still is an absolute disaster. I'm not buying the Dolphins for one single solitary second. Because on Thursday night, they're going to get their butt whooped by Baltimore. So I still have them at number 28. They're a little bit better than the absolute joke of a mess that is the Raiders, Saints, Titans, and Jets. But they're not that much better. That's how bad Atlanta is. At number 27, the Cleveland Browns. Oh my goodness. Cleveland saw up close and personal the Drake May experience, and it overwhelmed them. You can't really blame them. They were playing the best player in football, Drake May. Now, the thing that I think holds the Cleveland Browns back is they are literally a one-dimensional team by definition. They have no offense. After the first drive of the game, it felt like they did absolutely nothing. I'm not even sure if they crossed midfield. Because actually, Bryce Baringer of the Patriots, their punter, if you're unaware of who the Patriots punter is, you probably are, had the worst punt I've ever seen in my life. That's what allowed the Browns to score their second touchdown. He had a 15-yard punt that wasn't blocked. It was the worst punt I've ever seen, quite frankly. Now, the Cleveland Browns, Dylan Gabriel, I like Dylan Gabriel. I liked him coming out of Oregon. I don't know how much I can blame him and how much I can blame the offense, but you watch this team, it's like they couldn't run the ball against the Patriots. Their receiving core is booty cheek. Jerry Jeudy was getting absolutely just ruined by Christian Gonzalez. Belt to the behind by Christian Gonzalez. He just daddied him on live television. Jeudy had 0 catches. And then they've got guys like Isaiah Bond out there. Like, Fannon's nice, Njoku's nice. Njoku's playing beat up. Credit to him for still playing for this damn franchise. Judkin gets hurt. The tackles stink. It's just clear, though, that Gabriel, to me, just doesn't have the physical capacity to certainly overcome any of this. But then at the same time, be a guy that can be a franchise quarterback. I think he'll be around the NFL as a backup. But it's pretty clear, like, he just can't do it at this level, especially right now. So the Patriots took full advantage of that. And I don't know, man. I keep saying this. I'm going to continue to say this. Are we going to look at Kevin Stefanski eventually? Like, these 2 Coach of the Year awards are really keeping his job. And when you really break it down, the one season he won Coach of the Year, it was because of what he did with old man Joe Flacco. But we've since seen Joe Flacco perform decently well in other spots. And we've also seen the reason he got that award is because they had an all-time defense. That belongs to Jim Schwartz. He has yet to fix the offense in those seasons after. The other Coach of the Year award was won with Baker Mayfield, who, if anything, he only really made look worse than he is. If you really think about it, like, Baker Mayfield has since become a very good quarterback. I don't think Baker was a great quarterback at that time, but perhaps retroactively we could look at it and say, was this just like the scheme actually holding Baker back? He wasn't really in the right system. Perhaps. So basically what I'm saying is he won both his Coach of the Year awards One based off having a quarterback that people thought wasn't as good as the level of performance, but maybe he was actually better. And then the other year he wanted the coach of the year was because of the defense. He's one of the worst coaches at covering the spread. He can't actively fix his side of the football. He's soft. He does whatever the owner wants, appeases him. I think he's overrated. I think he should go. I'm not saying he's bad. There's certainly worse. Raheem. But is he good? Honestly, I think if anything, he's overrated. I think they should be looking at maybe making a change. Because the best coach on this staff has been Jim Schwartz for like 3 years. Honestly. So, Cleveland, Myles Garrett had 5 sacks against the Patriots. Congratulations. But just throwing that out there, we got to think about the coach. They're going to be drafting a quarterback. We all know that. Number 26, Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati, you're fun to watch. You got Joe Flacco, the gunslinger, slinging. Jamar Chase, 12 catches. T. Higgins, 44-yard touchdown. Chase Brown, running the rock. You're fun. You scored some points. But what an absolute embarrassment. To keep your season alive. To keep the hope of Joe Burrow, the dream alive. The late season surge. It's not statistically impossible that Cincinnati is eliminated or has no chance of doing this thing. They're definitely going to have to beat Chicago this week. Like, this is a desperation game for Cincinnati. And given how Pittsburgh looked on Sunday, I guess there's a backdoor option. But Baltimore is trying to squeeze through that thing. So to me, that was just like, you can't lose that game. Cincinnati, imagine how they would be sitting right now after Pittsburgh lost to the Packers. If they would have just held on and took care of business and made a damn stop. I mean, my gosh. Like, at a certain point, this front office, man, make a move for a defensive player, do something. You changed coordinators, that hasn't worked. It's clearly the personnel. What are we doing in Cincinnati? What are we doing? And Zach Taylor's got to go. Like, he's got to go. Got to go. Okay? At number 25, the New York Giants. The Giants came back down to earth this week. That's the best way to describe it. After losing a heartbreaker against the Giants, they lost, in another way, a big heartbreaker. Cam Scatterbu gets hurt. And that might be the final straw. That might be what breaks this team in terms of the Brian Daboll experience. Because I think that was kind of like the spirit of the team being ripped from its body. Right? The soul being ripped out of the body. To me, that's what this team was fun for. You know what I'm saying? Like, people were watching the Giants to watch Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbu. Abdul Carter. This rookie class. They were having fun with it. Now part of that equation of this team is gone. It's finished. And, there's holes all over the roster. The receiving core is poor without Malik Neighbors. The run game is below average, especially without Cam. And I'm not even a Cam guy, but he proved me wrong. The one thing I will say is what I was right about is that this guy is going to get hurt. Like, I was kind of right about that, but I don't want to be right about that. And then you look at defensively, their secondary, like, going to give up big plays left and right. I love what Brian Burns is doing. Abdul Carter's a star. Dexter Lawrence is a stud. Their front's awesome. They probably got to trade Kayvon Thibodeau. And if I'm the Giants, I think the next steps right now are trying to find some trades, compile some draft picks, try to build around Jackson Dart. I'm not a full-time believer yet in Jackson Dart, but I feel like every week against good defenses, against good defensive coordinators with a lack of support around him, he's still putting up decent performances. He's still showing signs of being a guy that could be a franchise quarterback. His mobility, his savviness, his confidence. He doesn't have an amazing arm, but I think his mobility, coupled with just that swagger and that I think he's an accurate passer and he seems to know how to process a defense at a fairly high level for a rookie. So to me, I think it's time to just go all in on this Jackson Dart thing, get him as much experience as possible, and then try to build around that for the future. But yeah, this team doesn't really have much left for me on the season. I think this is the time that we start to fade into the background now. At number 24, the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are a mess of a team. The reason I know the Vikings are finished is I'm not sure what they do well at this point. Other than maybe blitz quarterbacks, I'm not sure what they do well. They don't run the ball well. They don't block well. They don't pass the ball well because they don't have a quarterback. They don't believe in the guy that was supposed to be the franchise quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. Kind of a soft benching. I kind of believe that personally. Justin Jefferson's incredible, but like, he can't do it himself. Defensively, they give up too many explosives. Their secondary, it just isn't good enough. I've been saying it all offseason and all year. And they're just not quite producing as well on defense. That's keeping them in games, and they just don't have a Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins level player at quarterback. So I'm actually really disappointed in Kevin O'Connell. For a guy that was maybe the most impressive head coach of last regular season, he has completely regressed in terms of schematic genius, in terms of prowess on that side of the ball. Now, maybe it's the limitation at quarterback that he's scared of, but I just see nothing that gives his team the edge on that side of the ball. They don't run it well. They don't have a creative screen game. They don't find ways to, find mismatches and inventive ways of moving the football through smoke and mirrors. To me, he's fallen into the pack of average coaches this year. He doesn't really make a big difference on Sundays or Thursdays. And they were completely exposed by the Chargers in every way, shape, and form. Their defense, their offense. And I feel bad for Carson Wentz, man. Like, I feel bad that guy was just getting taken shot after shot after shot. And the jabroni, whatever his name is, the college guy, Herb Street, jabroni, making fun of a grown man trying to make a paycheck for his family, bro. Playing with a broken collarbone for 2 weeks, and he's getting absolutely battered. And he's trying to play his hardest. He's trying to play with his blood, sweat, and tears out there for his hometown team, for the team he grew up rooting for. He just wants to play football. He's just trying to go out there and play one last go. You know what I mean? Like, sure, you can maybe not like Carson Wentz as a player and think he's not very good, but to like just completely go crazy and just rip him apart on national television, like, I just felt bad watching him, man. Like, I felt like he was clearly hurt. He's clearly not that good anymore. And like, you guys are just like, everyone on, I mean, that's just the world of sports, but it's just like, it sucks to see that, especially finding out the guy was hurt the whole time. And then the TV is panning to him on the sidelines in pain. Like, it's clearly there's a problem there. Like, he's just trying to, because the freaking rookie they're supposed to be playing, for some reason they won't play him, and they're throwing Carson Wentz out there with a freaking broken collarbone. Like, bro, give the guy a break. Like, seriously. So, yeah, I felt bad for him, man. Number 23, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina also came back down to earth this week. They're 4-4, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But they're a very, very, very suspect, shallow 4-4. Like, never really buying into this winning streak when you really look at it. Like, Sure, they beat Atlanta 30-0. That's impressive, but like Michael Penix had the worst quarterback performance I've maybe seen all season, other than Kirk Cousins this week. They beat the Cowboys defense, okay, like cool, and they beat Miami. So like it's not really like they've been beating great teams. The last two teams that are like playoff caliber that they've been absolutely dismantled. They played the Patriots and they played the Bills, the AFC East teams, and they lost by like 30 points. So that kind of answers our question about the Panthers. Now, obviously, Andy Dalton played this game against Buffalo. He made some mistakes. It felt like they were able to maybe be early on kind of competitive, and there was just too many mistakes to kind of overcome. I think the most depressing part about this loss was it was at home. On paper, a matchup that you would think the Panthers could physically go toe-to-toe with the Bills, but they were physically manhandled by the Bills. The Bills ran the ball and cooked up a storm in Carolina, just ran the ball straight over the Panthers. And then on the other side, they couldn't really run the ball the way they wanted against one of the worst run defenses in football. Now, maybe Buffalo made all these adjustments and all these tweaks throughout the bye week, and give Sean McDermott credit. We'll talk about that, but like, that's a depressing outcome. Whether Bryce Young's there or not, they probably still lose by like 24 plus points. So, I mean, just not a good performance at all. And the Panthers just feel like there's some good elements to the team, but there's still so many holes. And I'm still not convinced that they really do have a quarterback for the long term. I personally would say probably not. I don't think Bryce is anything better than average. So they're in a really tough spot, man, because they're probably going to figure out a way to win 7-8 games. And that's probably not what they need. I mean, they probably need a stud defensive player. They probably need a stud quarterback or another good receiver or something in the first round. Like, I don't know, man. Like, this team's going to be stuck in the draft. Like, it's going to be a tough season here for the Panthers. Next, the Arizona Cardinals at number 22. The Cardinals feel like this team that's kind of forgotten right now. They've lost a bunch of one-score games. They've lost by 3 and 4 and 2 and 1. It's just like all over their schedule. They might have lost by 1 twice, if I'm not mistaken. But the Arizona Cardinals, with Jacoby or Kyler, are a competent offensive team. I feel like their run game has gotten a bit better since infusing a little bit more Bam Knight into their life's all-name team. And Marvin Harrison Jr. started to smile, which has opened up the passing game. I think Trey McBride's the best tight end in the league right now, at least this year. And then defensively, I think they're competent. So this is a competent bad football team. This is a team that's decent on both sides of the ball, but not really great or good on either side. That's kind of the problem with the Cardinals, is they've been playing a lot of good teams, and they've been barely falling short because they're just not great in any area. They're falling short to the Niners. They're falling short to the Seahawks, right? You go across that schedule, and it's like the Colts, they're close, but not quite there. The Packers, they're close, but not quite there. This is a really tough schedule they played. They played a lot of top 10, top 15 teams, and they've just fallen short because they're just not quite good enough, but they're better than the bad, and they might even now be kind of a frisky end of the season upset type team. So watch out for them. They're at number 22. At number 21, the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not sure where to put this team. 1 week they beat the Bills. You know, then I kind of give them a pass for losing to the Niners. It's in San Francisco. It's Sunday Night Football. You got out-coached. Okay, fine. Then the week after that, they just completely lay an egg against the Miami Dolphins. If you want to make the playoffs, you have to beat a team like Miami at home. And not only did they lose, but they were embarrassed. And Kirk Cousins was exposed. Raheem Morris was exposed. Yes, they have injuries. Atlanta, every team has injuries. Look at San Francisco. Like, every team has injuries. So Atlanta, you should still at least be competitive against a team like Miami with only a couple players missing on offense and defense. You should at least still be competitive, right? And then you think about that coupled with you lost to Carolina 30-0. So you've lost to Miami and Carolina by like 60 points. That's insane. That is insane. Raheem Morris, still not a good coach. Should be investigated. I'm not sure if Michael Penix will return this week. We'll find out, but I'm not sure he's very good anyways. I'm not sure what's going on with Drake London. Bijan disappointed me this week. Defensively, I still feel like they're capable. Offensively, I still feel like they're capable, but they're just a strange team. They're just a strange team. And that's what it comes down to. They have no level of consistency because they don't have consistency at the two most important spots. They don't have a consistent coach. They don't have a consistent quarterback. They have nothing consistent, right? They have talent on offense and defense. They're capable of putting up 30 any given week. They're capable of holding you under 10 in any given game. But they can't consistently do it because they have no core identity and they have no consistency in the most important spots that you need that. So to me, that's why they're at number 21. At number 20, the Washington Commanders. Tough loss against the Chiefs. They held strong and competitive in the first half, and I actually thought they outplayed the Chiefs in the first half. It's just that they made too many mistakes. And honestly, maybe we're a little bit too aggressive in that first half. They could have maybe built a little bit of a lead instead of going for it all the time. But interception off Debo's face and stuff like that, like just bad things going on. I didn't think Mariota actually played all that bad. The Chiefs have a strong defense, particularly at home. And I thought the Commanders' defense actually played pretty competitively against one of the better offenses in Kansas City. They kind of imploded in the second half, but some of their weaknesses just started to show up. I mean, is there a slower defense in football than Washington? You know you have a problem when Nick Martin is your best pass rusher. Bobby Wagner is just... he's washed, bro. I mean, my goodness. The secondary, I thought, played better. I thought Lattimore played better. Like, he's been looking completely washed. Offensively, I still really like what they do on that side of the ball. I think that they have, a fun screen game. I think a fun play action, run-based offense. I think they do a lot of cool stuff there. Out of the pistol, out of the gun. I think Cliff does a good job. Obviously, Jaden needs to come back. McLaurin's just getting healthy, or is he? I mean, he popped up with another injury throughout that game. It's tough. I mean, nobody expected them to win that game. I thought it would be closer. I thought maybe they could cover that game. But of course, they made too many mistakes early, which compile up, and then that ends up being the reason you can't cover. So it is what it is. But when you look at Washington right now, it's a team that I trust more than the bad teams. I think their offense is good enough to take care of business against those teams. They have a bad defense, period. But they're at least a better coach defense than a lot of the other bad defenses. And at the same time, they have a really hard schedule. Like, coming up, it's not going to get any easier. You take on the Chiefs, right? And now you got to go play the Seahawks. And that's a big game. Washington has to win that game, or else they're probably eliminated from the playoffs. And that does feel like a game that is going to be like backs against the wall, all in. So I'd expect Washington to come out and play hard there. But I have them at number 20. At number 19, the only reason I have Chicago over Washington is because they beat them. That's really the only reason. I have no other reason why I would put them above them, because I think Jaden's better than Caleb. I mean, Ben Johnson is awesome, and I think the Bears' offensive scheme is really good. I think Rome Odunze has been brilliant this season. He's kind of proven me wrong. The offensive line has been good all year. But the defense is bad, and the quarterback is bad. And that's kind of the underlying point here. It's kind of like, how good can you be when your quarterback is mid to bad in every game that he plays, and the defense is just not good enough? Injuries in the secondary, pass rush isn't good enough, coverage is never good enough. They played the Ravens, and it felt like they couldn't score in the red zone. They made some big mistakes. Caleb played a terrible game. Like, he has a couple big plays a game where he makes a nice throw outside the pocket, outside of structure. He makes a nice scramble every once in a while, but there's very limited consistency here. There's very limited prowess in terms of executing a system. Consistent accuracy, consistent ball placement, consistent reading of the field. He still can't read defenses. And everything that he really statistically produces is on a silver platter from Ben Johnson. This is a team that's propped up by offensive scheme and offensive skill talent. And really offensive talent around the quarterback. If you replaced Caleb Williams with Drake May, let's say, this is probably a top 3 offense in the league. And they'd probably still be a playoff team even with a bad defense. But you can't overcome a bad defense and a quarterback that holds back your offense from reaching the level that it could with a better quarterback. So to me, I have them at number 19. At number 18, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, I just want to say this about the Bears. You lost to Snoop Huntley. Like, I just kind of skimmed over that. I just kind of let you bypass that. No. You lost to Snoop Huntley, okay? And Snoop Huntley outperformed Caleb Williams. That's bad. That's bus material. That's bad. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 18. Again, the Steelers have a decent record. It's like a broken record at this point. But are they a good team? No. In fact, they might be worse than last year. Their offense right now is clicking at like a borderline top 10 efficiency rate. Do I think they are a top 10 offense? No. Do I think they're above average? Maybe. Defensively, they're bad. Like, the funny thing is, you'll listen to the mainstream media and you'll even listen to people that watch the NFL, and they're like giving all this praise to Jordan Love like he's like the next coming of Brett Favre. And he played the Steelers defense. Like, people are acting like the Steelers defense is the Steelers defense from years past. Like, this Steelers defense is atrocious. They're not good. Sure, they have some individual talent and they've got a lot of big names. But man, is this defense old. Man, is this defense simple. They don't create havoc like they used to. They don't cover. And they play probably the wrong style of defense from what they should be playing. This secondary is far too slow to be playing as much man coverage as they are. They should be a zone-heavy team reliant on a pass rush. Instead, they play the opposite style. They're probably a little too aggressive blitzing, and they play far too much man coverage, and they're not consistent in their run fits. Like, this is a bad defense. And then on the other side, like, Rodgers is playing well. One of the best things about the Steelers is Aaron Rodgers. And that's a bad sign because he's a 40-year-old quarterback who's probably not going to be on the roster within the next year or two. Their run game's been solid. Arthur Smith has been out-coaching Mike Tomlin all year. I like the idea of their offense, but there's only so much you can do with that when you've got one NFL caliber receiver. You're giving consistent snaps to Ben Skoranek out there, right? Like, you're giving snaps to Scotty Miller. You're giving snaps to an unproven Roman Wilson. Like, you've got one NFL caliber receiver on your team. And the identity of this team right now is they're playing like they have a great defense. They go for it the least in the league when teams should be going for it. By far, Mike Tomlin's the most conservative coach in the NFL. And the best part about their team is their offense. And they're still not going for it. They can't play any defense, and they're playing field position and win by defense, and it's not working. Like, at a certain point, look in the mirror and figure it out. So to me, I think I need to make a video about Mike Tomlin. Like, I think it's time to put him to pasture. Like, the guy is finished. It's time for Tomlin. Like, there's no more excuses here. There's no more excuses. Okay? At number 17, the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are honestly depressing to watch because, and funny enough, you know, and it's not funny to me because I'd actually like Dallas to be a good team. But I was watching the Denver game with my dad pretty much the whole game. And he's a Cowboys fan, as I've mentioned many times. And he was actually like really into the start of the game. And I think because Dallas has actually been like a good team, fun, you know, CeeDee Lamb's playing. And like, I think he kind of believed in the team a little bit to win that game. And you could just see him like, he was actually pretty excited. And then it just kept getting like worse and worse and worse. And it kind of felt bad because the defense is just like historically bad. Like if they had a mediocre defense, this would be a contender in the NFC. Sure, the offense doesn't quite produce on the road the way that you would want compared to the home road splits of how they play at home. But a lot of that has to do with the situations their defense puts them in. Right? Like you watch these games in the game flow and it's just like, it's like playing a game on Madden right now and it feels like you get one stop and you know those high scoring Madden games? You get one stop, you're going to win. Like, it's literally like the Dallas Cowboys right now. That's the Dallas Cowboys playing Madden on like rookie difficulty where nobody can play any defense. Like, that's literally what it is. But to me, yeah, Dak's played great all year. I thought that was maybe his worst game. He was under a lot of duress. He was under a lot of fire. Broncos brought the rush. But there's only so much you can do if you're Dak in this offense. The defense is abysmal. Abysmal. The coverage, I mean, some of these guys that are out there, I have no idea who they are. They're special teamers. Matt Eberflus, I thought he was a decent defensive coordinator. I mean, I don't know, like he's been a disaster so far. It can't just all be personnel, right? The defensive line doesn't get enough pass rush. The linebackers are terrible. The safeties are injured. Their replacements are terrible. Their defensive depth is abysmal. Like, this defense is all-time bad. Guys, I've been saying it for weeks. It's all-time bad. Denver did whatever they wanted, and Denver looked terrible against the Jets 2 weeks ago. That's bad. The Jets just allowed 37 points to Joe Flacco. At number 16, the San Francisco 49ers. So in one way, I feel bad for the Dallas Cowboys because they're a one-sided team. And if they had a defense, they would be pretty interesting, right? There's no worse situation than the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, I really feel like this team would have been a nightmare for opponents in the NFC if they were healthy or anywhere close to healthy. Like, this is a meme. This team has like 3 edge rushers left, and one of them's on the practice squad. This team has no players left. And against the Texans, their offense couldn't replicate their performance against Atlanta, and they played the best defense in the league on the road, and it was just a little bit too much for their backup quarterback and their backup receiving core. It's just a little bit too much because their defense couldn't come through with a third down stop. Third down after third down after third down after third down against what had been a very inconsistent, bad Texans offense. Houston did what they wanted on third down. Stroud was comfortable, Stroud was poised, and Stroud picked them apart. That's a bad sign. Now, the Niners will get healthier, and maybe they'll still have enough to make the playoffs, which would be extremely admirable. But it's just unfortunate. Like, I hope Brock Purdy comes back. I hope Ricky Pearsall comes back. I hope we can see this healthy offense. Brandon Ayuk, maybe that will make them an exciting team. And maybe they can piece together a defense, maybe make a trade or something to make them somewhat of a competitive out in the playoffs. But at a certain point, it just becomes backbreaking. And I feel like we've reached that point for the 49ers where it's like, how many injuries can this coaching staff withstand before it just becomes too much? Now, maybe I'm overreacting to them playing what is a very dominant Texans defense and what was a desperate Texans team. And they have a prime bounce back spot against the Giants here. But man, like, it's just becoming to the point where I don't even know how they're going to field a defense on Sunday. Like, it's actually outrageous. So at number 16, the 49ers. At number 15, the Houston Texans. So I was impressed by CJ and the offense against the Niners. I thought their short, precise passing game was on point. I like what I saw from Woody Marks. I thought the most impressive part of the offense was the fact that they didn't have Nico Collins and they were so successful and consistent. I thought the offensive line did look good when they did face the blitz. I thought that CJ Stroud, actually made some nice runs, some nice extension plays, some nice downfield throws. I thought CJ Stroud did his thing, man. And that was a shocker to me. I thought that he would struggle with Robert Saleh, and I thought they would struggle picking up the blitz. But I got to give Nick Caley, the offensive coordinator, some credit for the adjustments that they made on that short week against Seattle. On the other side of the ball, I've been saying it ad nauseum at this point. The Texans are a defense that can win a game by themselves, and they are the best defense in football. Because in this modern age of defense, they're a defense that has excellent speed, which is essential to take away the quick RPOs and screens that every team loves to run, as well as the horizontal run game. They're a great pass rushing team with 2 A-plus edge rushers in Hunter and Anderson who can dominate a game with a 4-man rush. They have 2 corners that can play on islands, which is just a cheat code. So they have and they have safeties that can really tackle and play in coverage. So they have a defense that's built for the modern NFL, and they have a defense that feels like it could match up better with any offense in the league, better than any defense there is, right? Everyone talks about Denver like there's some great defense. They're good, but this Texans defense is next level from that defense, in my opinion. Like, I don't think there's anyone close to as good as this defense. That's my opinion. At number 15. At number 14, the Jacksonville Jags. They did beat Houston earlier in the year. They do have a better record. That Jacksonville win over Kansas City is looking impressive right now. I know that they did win that game thanks to a pick 6 and a mistake by Patrick Mahomes. But man, that was an impressive game because right after that, the Chiefs kind of turned it around, didn't they? So that Jacksonville win does look impressive, but then they laid a huge egg against the Rams and got absolutely obliterated by another elite team. So what do you really think of this team? I think this is a team that I'm intrigued to see what they do post-bye. I don't know if they're going to be a team that will fully be in the race or not, because Trevor Lawrence is very inconsistent, and I think that's just ultimately going to hold them back. But that being said, this is a talented team. Travis Hunter, I'm intrigued to see his involvement offensively post-bye. They have a lot of post-bye questions. How do they involve Greg Newsome defensively post-bye? How does that help Travis Hunter maybe play more offense? Do they trade Brian Thomas? Do they keep Brian Thomas? Do they adjust and tweak some of their offense to help Trevor? But this is a team that's been a little bit better than expected, in my opinion, but kind of right there in the playoff wildcard conversation. They have had some impressive wins. They've beaten the Texans. They've beaten the Niners. They've beaten the Chiefs, right? They beat those teams. So I give them credit for that. At the same time, they entered that bye looking as shaky as ever. So they're a little bit forgotten. I have them at 14. If they had a better quarterback, I'd feel a lot more confident about them. I like Liam Cohen as a coach. I think their defense has played better this year. I'm not ruling them out for a playoff spot, but I don't feel confident they'll be consistent enough to get it done. At number 13, Baltimore. I know that's crazy, a 2-5 team at 13, but this is how I feel. This is not a standings video. This is a power ranking. Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. They won a game without him by 14 points against a team that had a winning record. That's really impressive. And Baltimore's defense now, 2 weeks in a row, has played much better football, holding the Rams to 17 and holding the Bears to 16. Okay? Their secondary, with the adjustments that they've made, Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, moving those guys, Humphrey outside, Hamilton to nickel, Gilman at safety, that's shifted their defense up. I still think they have a lack of a pass rush. I am still concerned a little bit about their run defense without Matabike. But offensively, with Lamar in there, they're going to be one of the best offenses in the league once again, with their run game, with that power element, with the play action, with the multiple tight ends, with the multiple receivers they can go to. So they're going to be a scary team and a scary threat and a dark horse caliber team down the stretch that nobody really wants to get in front of. So at number 13, I have Baltimore. At number 12, I have Denver. Denver's defense is now going to be tested greater than ever, more than ever, because Pat Surtain is down and he's out for a couple weeks. Riley Moss has been an intriguing, interesting player to watch. He doesn't give up a lot of completions, but that's mostly because when he does, it's a huge play, and when he doesn't, it's an interference call. We'll see. But I love Nick Bonito, man. I love that front five, I would call it. When they have Zach Allen, they've got John Franklin Myers, Cooper, and then DJ Jones. Dre Greenlaw will be back off suspension. I like how Hufanga's played for this team. The defense is good. Like, I think it's a little bit inflated. People talk about it like it's the no-fly zone or something. They talk about it like it's the 2015 I think it's a little bit overrated that way, but I thought they really stepped up against Dallas and allowed those opportunities and held Dallas, right? They held CeeDee Lamb down. They held Javonte Williams down, and they held Dak Prescott, right? They did against one of the top 3 offenses so far this year. They were able to hold that offense to a very modest performance and allowed their offense to dominate the Dallas disaster of a defense. And that's a promising performance, a confidence-building performance for guys like Franklin, who had a big game, for guys like the running back Harvey, for a guy like Bryant, who scored a touchdown. Like, all these other elements of the offense, maybe they get a little spark there. Maybe they're finding their way. But to me, I just kind of hold them underneath that top 10 because I'm not a Bo Nix believer against a good defense. I feel like they haven't played well as an offense consistently against an average to good defense all year, and they're just too reliant on their defense against good, actual, well-rounded teams. I think they're feasting on bad teams right now, and I think they will be exposed eventually for the mediocre to bad offense that they are. But at number 12, I have Denver because I think they are certainly capable of destroying bad teams. They're certainly capable of beating one-dimensional teams, and I think that they're well coached enough to really compete with good teams, but they're just a little limited on offense, in my opinion. At number 11, the Chargers. The Chargers did beat the Broncos, by the way, and they also did beat the Chiefs. I will throw that out there, right? So in their division, they have beaten the 2 other teams that are at the top, and the Chargers just went on a Thursday night and dismantled, destroyed Carson Wentz and Minnesota and sent Wentz into retirement, most likely. It was a dominating performance to the degree where we felt bad watching Carson Wentz play. It was that dominating. Khalil Mack looked back in a big way. Their pass rush looked much better, and their defense just looked like it was flying around. I love the energy and the hunger and the speed they played with. Offensively, Herbert was humming. He had some time, and he was striking. Ladd McConkey, Gladson, the tight end, man. That kid is good. And then I thought they had enough balance in that game. After that, what could have been pick 6 really early in the game, Herbert was just absolutely shredding. Like, when he plays like that, when he's creating like that, when he's throwing downfield like that, when he's confident in his offensive line and he's putting the ball in the money, they can beat any team in the league. They can go toe-to-toe with any team in the league. They can beat the Chiefs in a playoff game, right? That, like, they have the weapons to do it. They have a good enough defense to do it. I believe in this Chargers team more than I believe in that Broncos team. At number 10, I have Seattle. Seattle is a little bit like the Chargers in some ways, where I think their defense is more dominant than the Chargers, but their offense is a little bit lesser than the Chargers, but they're similarly built. Like, they kind of want to be a downfield play action striking team. They want to play a lot of zone coverage on the back end and get to you up front. And I think Seattle, though, has been much more dominant at the line of scrimmage defensively. I think that's been really their strength all year. Their defensive line has consistently whooped people in the run game, and they've consistently won them games with their pressure. They won them a game against Houston. They won them the game against Jacksonville, right? They have won them games due to pressure. Leonard Williams has been one of the best players in the NFL this year. Murphy's having a breakout season, and they've been able to survive even with secondary injuries. On the other side, JSN has been uncoverable, and Sam Darnold is playing great. I wonder if the Vikings regret that decision yet. Maybe it was Sam Darnold who was good all along, and it was not Kevin O'Connell who was the QB whisperer. Or maybe it was Kyle Shanahan who whispered to Sam Darnold and got him playing well. Who knows what the story is there. They need to involve Kenneth Walker more instead of Zach Charbonnet. Stop it. Walker's a stud. And I think what really truly holds them back right now is their drop back passing game. Their drop back passing game coupled with the lack of other receivers to go to other than JSN. If this team could make a trade for another receiver like a Chris Olave or like a Rashid Shaheed, I think this would take the team over the top to being a real NFC contender, because I just feel like they need another guy they can rely on to go down the field to and to win one-on-ones and to beat man coverage. Right now, it feels like it's JSN or it's a schemed up shot to a tight end, and that's really it. And their run game is too inconsistent to rely purely on their pass game. And especially when you look at some of the metrics in drop back pass, they have not been particularly good. And it's because of the lack of receiving core, in my opinion, not Sam Darnold. At number 9, Tampa Bay. I moved Tampa down. I have been severely disappointed by Baker Mayfield and the offense in consecutive weeks. So we found out that maybe the Lions' defensive performance was a little bit more about the Bucs than maybe we thought. The Bucs could not separate against the Lions. They could not block against the Lions, and it looked real bad. Baker looked real bad. In that game against the Saints, they struggled again against a below average defense, right? The Saints defense held strong in that game, and Baker just feels like he's not as trustworthy towards Emeka Egbuka anymore, or Egbuka might be hindered by something. Tez Johnson is still developing, and they're developing chemistry. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. He's kind of second-guessing himself. He feels like he doesn't trust the offensive line. Feels like their run game, because of the offensive line, is not as explosive or not as good, and especially without Bucky Irving, they don't have that like explosive element out of the backfield any longer. But they'll get him back, and they should get Godwin back soon. And that should definitely help, right? So this is a team that has injuries, but should get most of their guys back. I'm not sure what the Reddick timeline is, but I don't think it's a out for the year situation. I could be wrong. Obviously, Cansey is, but we've known that for a while. But what I'm most impressed with the Bucs, which is what I've been saying for weeks, is their defense is legitimate. Their run defense is obviously elite. Anthony Nelson playing in place of Hassan Reddick played spectacular. He had a pick 6. And Winfield was an absolute madman in that game. Jamel Dean has been one of the best corners in the league. So has McCollum. Their rookie corners have been fantastic. I think the Bucs, Todd Bowles is really coaching his butt off on that side of the ball. And as long as Baker can keep the offense afloat until they get reinforcements, especially on the offensive line, I think that's the biggest problem right now. Teams are starting to take advantage of that offensive line on that right side. They have just been so poor, and Baker does not trust it. So at number 9, I have the Bucs. At number 8, the Buffalo Bills. They had a dominant performance against Carolina in a spot where they really needed a dominant showing. But there's still some aspects about this team that I feel like are just not quite good enough for the team that they want to be. Their passing game is just not explosive enough. Their passing game is not consistent enough. Their receiving core is not good enough. Keon Coleman is not it. They need Josh Palmer, in my opinion. Khalil Shakir had a really good game. They need to get Dalton Kincaid more involved. Maybe they will against the Chiefs. That's one of the matchups they should take advantage of. But their offensive line and James Cook whooped ass, and you got to give them a lot of credit. But Josh Allen has not been the MVP guy he was last year because the pass game is just not as good. They're not blocking blitzes the same way. They're not creating separation the same way. Joe Brady is lost in his overall passing game play calling. And defensively, I have my questions, especially with Ed Oliver going down. Their pass rush and their front really looked good in that game against the Panthers, but it was Andy Dalton. So I need to see more. Maxwell Hairston did look real. He made some nice tackles. He was solid in coverage. He adds real speed. I wonder if the Bills shift towards being more of a man coverage team moving forward with Benford and Hairston on the outside with Teron Johnson at nickel. Maybe that will help unlock some more pressure while Ed Oliver is out. But at number 8, I have, my faith in the Bills and Josh Allen and Sean McDermott here, but I still have some concerns against the really, really good teams. At number 7, New England. I moved the Patriots down, actually, and I'm trying, I think this is a totally fine ranking. I think if you rank the Patriots anywhere from 5 to 10, I feel like that's pretty fair. If you have them outside the top 10, I think you're delusional. They're definitely a top 10 team. Where you place them is depending on your opinion of how legitimate their wins have been against these opponents they're playing. And for me, even as a Patriots fan, I kind of need to see them play some more better teams and better quarterbacks. beating Dylan Gabriel senseless is one thing, but I want to see how they play against Baker in a couple weeks. The Falcons will be a stiffer test in terms of a both well-rounded team that maybe has some flaws, but we should be able to beat at home, right? That's next week, but we did beat Josh Allen and the Bills, but the biggest development here is how well the offense played against Cleveland. And I feel like it was the best offensive performance against Cleveland of any team all year. And Cleveland had played Baltimore. Cleveland had played Green Bay. Cleveland had played Detroit. This was the best offensive performance that any team played, has played Cleveland. So Drake May is the MVP of the league, in my opinion. I think if you're denying that at this point, you're simply not watching him play. Like, I really don't know what to say at this point. Like, between the big explosive throws where he's by far the best deep ball passer in football, and the accuracy and the completion percentage and the passer rating, 7 straight games of over 100, and the running where he's leading the team in rushing consistently. Like, he's a threat in every way, shape, and form. He's winning the game mentally. He's winning the game physically. He's uplifting mediocre supporting cast, mediocre offensive line, mediocre receiving core. And I will say, the boot guy, Kayshon Boutte, he's coming through, man. He is developing before our eyes. I think he keeps getting better and better. Stephon Diggs, a little bit quiet against Denzel Ward, but you see other guys step up, right? Douglas with a big play, Hooper with a big play, Hunter with a touchdown, and we saw a little bit of Travion Henderson, which was promising. Hopefully we can get Henderson and Stevenson both going in that run game. That's the next thing that unlocks the Patriots offense. It might not be the weaponry on the outside. I think our passing game has been damn good. It's elite right now because of Drake May. The next thing that can make this team a real contender is the ability to overpower people in the run game and run the damn ball when it gets cold, when it gets rainy. That's what we're going to need to be if we have to go on the road and play a team like Buffalo or play a team like Kansas City. We might not even have to do that given our schedule. We might actually end up with the 2 seed or the 1 seed. But if we do, it's important that we can run the ball because we can stop the run. That's for damn sure, right? Passing defense, I still have questions. I hate how we start games because against good teams, that's not going to be a good thing. But I love how we're able to adjust, and I love how we're able to just completely just dominate teams after the first quarter. Like, if you look at, I don't know what the point differential is for the Patriots in the last 5 weeks after the first quarter, but if we stripped away the first quarter, I think we have to be the best team in football. Like, it's impressive. We're beating the shit out of these teams. So that's impressive, but I want to just see us play some better competition. I want to, specifically offenses. I believe in the Patriots offense. I think we're a good offense. I think we have a great quarterback. I love what Josh is doing. But I need to see us play some better quarterbacks. That's what I really want to see when it comes to this team, for me to elevate them in the top 5. At number 6, I have the Eagles. I've moved them back into contention here. And it's mostly due to how their passing game has played. I do think that Saquon got going last week. That's big. I thought Tank Bigsby looked good running the ball, but that was against the Giants. They're bad against the run. I do want to see them do that consistently. But Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, the passing game, A.J. Brown against the Vikings, they've looked real good. Now, it is the Vikings secondary. It is the Giants secondary. Those are very beatable secondaries. When they do play a team that kind of forces them to be more of a consistent passing game instead of an explosive passing game, I do wonder a little bit there. But Hurts' numbers speak for themselves. He's been very efficient, very consistent. And their defense definitely performed a lot better against the Giants. Their pressure was real. The sacks, the coverage was better. They've got a lot of really good players on this defense. So, and you look at the Eagles and what they've stacked together this year. They did beat the Rams, kind of a fluke. They did beat the Chiefs. They did beat the Bucks. Even if they were outplayed in aspects of those games, they beat really good teams, right? So, maybe we haven't seen them against Detroit yet. I think we will. Maybe we haven't seen them against the Packers yet. We will soon. But we're going to see every opponent in the NFC practically play them. And we're going to understand where they truly fall entering the playoffs. But right now, they are the champs. They are a team you trust in a big game. They do have a really strong home field. And I feel like, if they play at their peak, they are a contender. The problem is, can the Eagles do that this year? because it feels like they do have, those play calling issues, the offensive inconsistencies, the defensive inconsistencies. It's about more consistently playing at your peak, which the Eagles haven't really done all year except for maybe the last 2 games. At number 5, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have the best offense in the league, and like I said earlier, statistically, the best points per drive offense of the century. I don't think that will keep up, but it's been damn phenomenal and impressive. They have been beating up on a lot of bad teams, but they have been dismantling those teams, covering spreads, and that's what good teams do. I eventually do kind of feel like Daniel Jones is going to be the guy that kind of unravels this team, but I think it won't necessarily be only on Daniel Jones. I do still have my issues and problems with their pass defense. I think those are 2 things that in a big game, in a big spot against Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or even Drake May, I kind of feel like that's going to be the underwhelming element. But their run game is dominant. Their offensive line is awesome. And their weapons are really underrated. And when you look at them against a team like the Chiefs, they do have elements that can give that Chiefs team a problem. Like the ability to control the clock, the ability to score points, the ability to get 7s instead of 3s, the ability to run the ball, the ability to play a creative defensive scheme, right? So at number 5, the Colts are legitimate. They keep dominating. There's no reason not to have them in the top 5. At number 4, the Los Angeles Rams, who beat the Colts. Stafford is playing like an MVP. Absolutely phenomenal. Best pocket passer in the league right now, other than maybe Drake May. Puka is phenomenal. He is injured. Devontae Adams had his best game going into the bye week. That's a positive sign. I still worry about their running backs. I kind of wish they would make a trade there. Their offensive line is good, but not great. It can be had, but it's good enough. I think Sean McVay has done a good job, but I don't think he's been like otherworldly this year. Defensively, I think Roger McCreary will help them play a little bit more feisty man coverage. He is more of a nickel corner to me, though. I do kind of wonder, he's not the biggest guy at the corner position. I kind of feel like they need a little bit more size, but he is physical. So that's fair. That's fine. They do have an awesome pass rush. Their run defense is very much improved. They feel like a more complete team than they were last year, thanks to Devontae Adams, thanks to the run defense. But I still worry about their secondary, and I do kind of feel like if a team can get a 4-man rush on them, they can provide problems for the Rams. So at number 4, the Rams. At number 3, the Packers. The Packers seemingly do look good on paper against every other NFC team. I think their biggest challenges will come against the AFC. They did dismantle Detroit in week 1. I know it was week 1, but they did do that. And they also, appear to match up well to me against a team like the Rams because of their pass rush and also because of their offense. And then I feel like against the Eagles, they've played them very well in the last 2 games despite losing. I feel like they're a better team now, and the Eagles are a worse team. So we'll see how that goes in a couple weeks. Christian Watson, as I've been saying all year, has unlocked this offense. He is their best, most talented receiver. And he might not be 100% yet, but he damn looked good with his blocking and his receiving and his running out there. And he's just the gravitational pull player that they needed to unlock everything else. Tucker Kraft is an absolute animal, right? And eventually they'll get Reed back. And I think that a 4-receiver combination of Kraft, Watson, Reed, and Dobbs is pretty damn good. And the way Jordan Love is playing, from the maturity he showed against the Steelers and the explosive plays he's capable of and the balance that they're capable of with Josh Jacobs, that's a really tough offense to stop. They have the screens, they have the downfield element, they have the run game, and then defensively, they have a 4-man rush that can win them a game. Their defense is a lot better with Devontae Wyatt, as I've mentioned. Their secondary actually played pretty well against the Steelers, I thought. But, that's a limited receiving core for the Steelers. So I do still want to see them get a corner. If they can get a corner, I think I'm putting them in the Super Bowl officially, although I did before the season. And I wouldn't really just kind of shove against you not doing it. Currently, if they get the number 1 seed and they play in Green Bay, it's going to be tough for me not to pick them to go to the Super Bowl, right? So at number 3, I have the Packers. At number 2, not number 1, Chiefs. I know we'll get there. Number 2, Detroit. I don't know about this one. I don't know about putting Detroit over Green Bay, but the thing I like about Detroit compared to Green Bay is just their ability to adjust. Like, in terms of they lose players, and like that game against the Bucs was so impressive. Their ability to play tight coverage with a lackluster no-name secondary was extremely impressive. And their depth of their team is just so impressive. At running back, at receiver, at tight end, at offensive line, at defensive line, at linebacker, safety, corner. It feels like every position this team is just so immensely deep and talented. And that can withstand a lot of injuries, right? And they have, to me, a top-tier offense. They have, to me, a top 10-ish, borderline top 10 defense, but that's a damn balanced team, right? And they can run the ball, they can throw the ball. The one thing I'll say negatively about Detroit is the two really, really good teams they've played, they got beat down. Like, they lost to the Chiefs, they lost to the Packers, and it wasn't that close in either of those games. That's the one argument against Detroit. But they did beat the Bucs soundly. That is good. I need to see them play like the Eagles and the Packers again, and we'll kind of rediscuss this. But Detroit is, to me, they might be the most talented team in the league. And I think that's why they're at number 2 here. At number 1, the Chiefs. You guys knew it was coming. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. I actually didn't think the Chiefs offense played that well against Washington. That's one of the worst defenses in the league, and they only had 7 points at halftime, and it felt like everything they did was a screen or a kind of a scramble drill play. I need to see more consistency in your actual play calls, to actual executed play calls against good teams, right? I feel like if Washington didn't have Nick Martin as their best pass rusher, it might have went a little bit differently that game. Or if Debo caught the ball off his face, it might have gone a little bit differently. So that wasn't a very impressive Kansas City game, but I kind of feel like they're looking ahead to Buffalo, and we'll truly find out what the Chiefs are made of against a team like the Bills. Even if the Bills are a little bit of a mess right now, it is in Buffalo, which is a tough place to play. Only Drake May can beat them there. And then, you've got Josh Allen. So it's going to be a great game on Sunday, and I think the Chiefs should be favored, even on the road, because they have looked to be the more complete team. And I've been really impressed by their defense, their coverage, and just I think they're playing like one of the best defenses in football right now. So Kansas City at number 1. I don't think Mahomes deserves MVP. I don't think he's playing as good as people think, but I do think the team is damn good. So I have them at number 1. There it is, guys. My power rankings entering week 9. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, Gronk spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't be a jabroni, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.